You're listening to the Love Unplugged podcast, episode 122. Do you have a business partner, or are you looking to enter into a business partnership? Do you want to make sure that your partnership is successful and are wondering how? Today we are learning from a duo behind a successful brand on what is key to nurturing and growing their partnership in order to benefit their business but also their friendship. So without further ado, let's jump on in. Hey there, I'm your host, Jessica Fragon, and I am passionate about doing the inner work needed to reach your goals. Let me be your guide as we navigate all the fears and insecurities that surface when it's time to step outside of your comfort zone. Along with my knowledgeable guests and industry experts, I'm here to teach you how to reawaken your life purpose and passion and create the steps to turn your intentions into action. Ultimately, my goal is to empower you to rise above those blocks holding you back and start living a life that you are worthy and deserving of. So come on, it's time to slow down, find a comfy spot with your favorite organic tea, and get inspired. Thank you for tuning in to the Love Unplugged podcast. Hello, loves. Today I am joined by the lovely Shara Krangle and Vanessa Nicola, founders of Oat of the Ordinary, a high-protein, low-sugar superfood oatmeal that can be made in minutes or as overnight oats. It meets all macronutrient requirements to ensure it is supportive to a balanced diet, has added benefits that support stress and hormones, and to top it off, it tastes great without the use of artificial flavors and refined sugars. And to top it all off, it is organic, gluten-free, and vegan. Now, I've personally tried these oats, and I love them. Now, I'm very gluten sensitive and usually I can't have oatmeal, and this one has not bugged my stomach at all, and I actually feel good afterwards. So I highly recommend that everybody go out and try this brand. They are so good. So welcome, ladies. I'm just so honored to have you as my guests, and I'm so excited to learn all about your story and your advice. But before we start, for those that don't know you yet, I would love for you to share a little bit more about you personally.
Absolutely. I can start. This is Shara, and thank you so much for that beautiful intro. And, you know, it's so humbling to hear people like yourselves talk about our product. Like it's still, we were brand new. We're still just so excited to hear that people love it. So thank you so much for that, Jessica. As I said, I'm Shara. I'm a holistic nutritionist and co-founder of Oat of the Ordinary. I live in North Van, but I'm from the Sunshine Coast, and I have 2 cats that I'm absolutely obsessed with. And I've been with my partner for coming on for 12 years.
Wow.
And my name is Vanessa Nicola. I'm the co-founder with Shara for Oat of the Ordinary. I also live in Vancouver, and I am currently single, which is, COVID hard, but I was in a relationship for 10 years, so maybe it's not the worst thing to take a break. We're just really busy, and to be honest, most of our free time, we don't really have any. Most of it's to do with oats. So, but it's the best way possible. So, just really excited to be here.
That's so awesome that you guys are all from Vancouver as well. I love it here. And it's so nice to have local businesses on the podcast so that I can support you guys in any way that I can.
Oh, thank you. And that goes right back at you. We love talking with other local businesses, and we've done so many giveaways and IG lives, and just COVID has brought together so much support for local businesses. So we've felt very, very grateful to have the connections that we've built through this time.
Yeah, definitely a silver lining for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And being single during COVID, I mean, that has got to be tough, but your business is basically keeping you so busy, and it's like setting you up for the future type thing so that you have that free time maybe down the road to have that relationship.
100%. And I'm not one for online dating. I've tried it. I'll go on for a week or two and I'm like, it's awful. I don't want to put the work in because every time our company takes so much from us that I just don't really have the energy. And I know when the time is right, it'll just happen. So I'm not worried about it. And yeah, like you said, the company is kind of like my partner right now. So
exactly. Nothing wrong with that. I love it.
Exactly.
All right. So let's start at the beginning with you ladies. What was the journey leading up to starting your business? So did you guys always want to be entrepreneurs? What were you guys doing prior to this?
I can start. This is Shara. So I'm a holistic nutritionist, and I was working, still am working part-time for the Almost 30 podcast as their community manager. And it's so funny how you have these different experiences in life that lead you to exactly where you're supposed to be. And that was kind of the story for me. Like, I went to acting school when I graduated high school, and that led me to get really into fitness and nutrition because I knew that long hours on set, and there was kind of like a stigma about how you have to look on set back then. Back then, I talk like I'm 50 years old. I'm 30, going on 32. But so I ended up getting really passionate about fitness and nutrition, which led me to becoming a holistic nutritionist, which then I love Kelly LeVeque. I really resonated with her. So I flew down to LA to go to an event with her that was hosted by this podcast that I had recently found. And then Krista and Lindsay, the host of Almost 30, we just hit it off, and they brought me on as their community manager, which then I spent 2 years traveling around the US, and we went to London. So leaving Vancouver, I would always catch like these really, really early flights, and I'm plant-based and mainly gluten-free. And there's just no options out there that would keep me satiated throughout my flight. And that would really just like set the tone for the day and make me feel really good about, my first meal. So I started making this kind of superfood protein oatmeal mix and just sharing it on my stories as a health hack mainly, because no matter where you go, any airport, any city, you can find hot water, like going up to a Starbucks and just grabbing like a steamed coconut milk or hot water. So I would make this and share it on my stories, and the feedback and the comments were just, it really took me by surprise how many people said that they really wanted something out there like this. And of course, there's your Quakers or your Bob's Red Mill, but nothing kind of elevated in the way that we had with the lower sugar content. So I called up Vanessa and I was like, listen, I have this crazy idea. Like, Vanessa had a background. We've known each other for years. And I'll let V pick it up from there.
Yeah. So Shara, called me up or told me about the idea January 2020. And my background, I guess, is in business. I have my BBA. I've worked with startups. I started a company with my stepmom. It was in fashion, so it's very different, but still just the process of starting a business and, what to do, what not to do. It's very similar. So I had that. My dad's an entrepreneur, so I've always grown up around his business, working, for his company, under his controller since I was like, quite young, going through university. So I've always just kind of been immersed in business. I've always kind of known I want to be an entrepreneur. I had a little bit of a hiccup in my path of life so far, just with health issues. So I had to take a step back from life in general for about 3 years. So that was hard. But when Shara approached me with this just over a year ago, I was still kind of going through my health stuff, but I knew I wanted to pursue it. I was actually doing my master's in psychology at the time. I ended up pursuing this. We did the research. We saw there was a need for a product like this. And so I ended up dropping out, and I thought I could always go back to school, but it was now or never with this. And I think just as a partnership, we can go into more detail, later about that, but we just really complemented each other. And, I never thought I'd be in a partnership, but now that I am, and with somebody like Shara, where we do complement each other, it just works so easily and it flows so well. And so then we got incorporated in July. We did a soft launch in October, and then we've launched November 2020, and it's been going great since.
That's amazing. I definitely second the fact that being gluten-free, and then I try to minimize dairy as much as possible. So unless it's cheese, I can't stop myself with the cheese.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's so limited, right? Like, I'm always looking for like something to eat that's actually going to keep you full, and it's going to be substantial, and it's not just a whole bunch of like sugar, right? So the fact that you guys have created a gluten-free oatmeal that actually doesn't bug my stomach. Other gluten-free brands have in the past, and that's why I was kind of like, I'll give it a try, but I'm not too sure. Like, that's just amazing.
Oh, thank you. And, we really set out for a mission because we found like Vanessa and I were always on the go. We were so busy, and we just found it so unfair that because of our lifestyle choices that we had to sacrifice what we like to say are high health standards. We're both health conscious. We're both like living this life wanting to feel our best. And just because like we're, on the road or just like working with clients or busy or going to school or going to work, like we just wanted something that would keep you just make you feel so good from the inside out, because so many people would go to like a cafe and just like give in to the treats there because that was the only option that they had. And then they, their blood sugar rises and then it crashes and now it's like 11 and you're looking for a second kind of sugar hit to keep you going. And we're just like, this is no way for anyone to live and thrive, really. So this product is serving a huge purpose and we're so proud of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Now, starting a business during a pandemic, like you guys reached out to each other, like you connected in January 2020, right before the pandemic hit. And then you did a soft launch in the summer and then like fully launched for November. Like this is like straight up in the pandemic. So how was your experience, creating this product-based business? And then what was it like for you in a pandemic? Was there a lot of like blocks that you guys had to overcome because of COVID?
When Cher presented the idea to me in January, it was, before really anything in North America was happening. So that we didn't really think about that. But then, of course, like February, March, April hits and we're like, we don't know what to do because a lot of like suppliers we were working with, everybody was shut down because nobody knew, nobody was keeping their business open at that time. So we took a step back for like a month or two. We were still doing like questionnaires. We were still thinking about the business for sure, but we did take a step back. But then both of our other jobs, our hours got cut back quite significantly. So we thought, honestly, it's now or never. And it could just be a blessing in disguise for us because it gave us the opportunity to really dive deep into the oat. We didn't have the company name at the time, but into this endeavor. So yeah, for us, it was kind of a blessing. And then of course, more people are buying food and groceries online. So e-commerce for food has exponentially increased, which again, silver lining. And I think it just gave us an opportunity to launch a food product and do it through a different channel than a lot of food brands would do, which is going straight to retail. For us, it was like, let's really focus on going direct to consumer through our own website. And so, it for sure, I think just the industry that we were in, it was a silver lining and it ended up being positive for us.
Mm-hmm. And then at the same time, rules are so different. So we can't be going into stores and doing sampling, which is really, that's been kind of hard because our product, as you know, Jessica, like when you try it, it speaks for itself. Like you really understand why people are so in love with it. So we've had to be really creative with our branding and our marketing and figuring out a way that it will entice people enough to like take a chance on us. And so far it's paid off. So we're very, very grateful for that.
Yeah.
How did you come up with your 3 different flavors?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
We spent like 6 months on recipe development alone. And we didn't want to do it. Like we wanted to play into the name. We were out there to like give oatmeal, what we say, like a facelift. We wanted to change it up, make it different because oatmeal's been a household classic for so long. And like everybody loves it. It just needed like a new kind of spin on it. So we didn't want to go like the, apple, like a cinnamon sugar, brown, whatever it is, like all those like kind of maple. Yeah, the maple sugar and all that. And we didn't want to use dried fruit as well. Like we just really wanted to keep the sugar content low, the nutritional benefits nice and high, the fiber high. And we're like, hey, what could we do that would provide flavor and taste and benefits? So we started looking into freeze dried berries because freeze dried fruit keeps like 92% of their nutritional value, where for like just regular dried berries doesn't really have that much value at all.
And it's usually like coated in sugar as well.
Exactly. So we started playing with that, and then we were able to source freeze-dried berries from the valley. And yeah, we wanted to do like classic flavors, but again, putting that nice spin on it. So cinnamon, obviously you had to go for cinnamon in the breakfast products. We do blueberry cinnamon, and then we wanted something like kind of citrusy, and we also played into the benefits. So as you can see on the label, the labels are pretty out there. There's a lot of different graphics going on, but for the blueberry cinnamon, for example, there's a flamingo, which cinnamon helps with balancing your blood sugar, and flamingo is the bird of balance. And then we have lavender on there because it's also like calming and relaxing. For the raspberry, it was all about beauty. So there's lots of vitamin C in there. Got like the lotus flower, and then cacao, coconut. Of course, you have the elephants to represent the energy that you get from cacao. And then we just had really fun with the branding, and kind of the flavors fell into the benefits and the different flavor profiles that we wanted to achieve.
Yeah. And then we also did like questionnaires to get, like we did about 300 respondents for a questionnaire with flavors being a main like topic within the questionnaire. And then we also did focus groups. So we did a bunch of samples and then we dropped them off to like family, friends, friends of friends, people in the industry. And we just got feedback and, we really listened to what people were saying.
Oh, that's awesome. I love how thoughtful your packaging was created with. Like, having those little symbols like the lotus flower, the elephant and stuff like that, and what they mean and how it kind of relates to the benefits that you're going to get. I love that personal touch in that.
Oh, thank you.
Now, as entrepreneurs, I'd love to know what your biggest learnings and your biggest lessons have been, as well as your wins.
That's a really good one. And it's so funny because I'm sure we'll talk about partnership going forward, but I'm definitely more of a creative. So my answers are going to be much different from Vanessa's. She's operations. So for me, it's been a huge personal journey. Like I've grown so much as a person, being able to show up for Vanessa and be able to show up for myself and to like trust your gut, your intuition. And of course, just like within the business, and V will talk more about like the business lessons that we've learned, but I just never thought there'd be as much personal growth within starting a business. I mean, I think we've done such a good job of there's no rejections, there's redirections, which has been a blessing because we never get discouraged. We're like, oh, okay, that wasn't meant for us. So like, let's kind of retract. And that's another thing with COVID, you have to be able to adapt and pivot. So that's been a huge one for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think from a business point of view, like what we've gone to, just there's been a few things, like one, making sure your supply chain is very sound. You have these lessons very early on, which thankfully they happen early on, where you maybe only have like your one primary oat supplier, and then you're like, oh, they ran out of oats and we have a production run and we did our pre-orders and we have to fulfill those dates, and we should have already off the bat had like 3 or 4 backup, and just little things like that. And again, it was so great that they happened early on. And then I think like another one is just putting yourself out there and networking, like on LinkedIn, on Instagram, anywhere you can meet people and talk to people who are in the CPG space, the food and beverage space, just business in general, has been just some of the best ways that we've avoided so many costly mistakes. So of course we're going to make mistakes. It's part of the business, but we've avoided so much because we've surrounded ourselves with people who are, a few years ahead of us, or they've gone through these things and they're like, in hindsight, I would have done this different. And now you guys can. So that's been a huge lesson. But yeah, going back again to the supply chain, anybody who's looking to start up a business, making sure that, your raw materials, that everything, you have like multiple suppliers, and you don't want to run into problems where you can't meet demand and deadlines.
Mm-hmm. Back up your backups, right? Like,
yeah,
exactly.
What about wins? When you look back through your journey creating this business now, what are moments where you were like, holy crap, we just did this? Like, holy crap, like this just happened.
Yeah, I feel like seeing your products on store shelves is one. I think no matter how big or small the retail location is or the online store is, just seeing that in a store. Like I went to the juice bar yesterday and, I walked in like Modern Wellness on Hornby, and our product was in there, and it's so cool to see that, so those are like those small little wins. And then, we recently had one of the largest online retailers in Canada, or the largest. And we've talked to lots of businesses about the process of getting listed with them, or how they have never returned their emails, or whatever the journey may be. And they actually reached out to us a few weeks ago to be listed with them. So that was really, really amazing, to see, and to get to that spot where they sought us out and they reached out to us.
Mm. Yeah, Vanessa and I are very, very good at celebrating every single win. Like no matter how big or how small, it's that like little high that you get, and it's so exciting. And we got into vegan supply like pretty quick, which was a huge one that was on our list. Erin Ireland did a little story and posted about us, which was amazing. So like any big influencer, any account that we land, even like personal wins, like the amazing communication that V and I have as partners, that's a win. Respecting and knowing each other's workflows, like that's a win. Like we're really good at celebrating everything, to be honest.
How do you guys celebrate? So what advice for those that are listening that are maybe entrepreneurs that struggle with pausing when it comes to celebrating wins and, acknowledging that moment and taking that in and doing something to, appreciate that moment. What do you guys do? Like, what are your go-to ways to like celebrate you and your accomplishments?
Oh, that's a good one.
That is a good one. I don't know. We have to even learn to get better with like pausing and actually properly celebrating. We definitely, when we have like big news, it's always like the text message, like, Shara, like exclamation mark, like we always, and we just have a little bit like when we're on the phone and we just, have that kind of few minutes where we really celebrate and take it all in. But obviously with COVID right now, we can't really do too much, but after we finished an accelerator program and we did a pitch to like 500 buyers, investors, just people in the industry, and it was live streamed, and we went and did like a weekend at my mom's cabin in Kelowna and did some wineries, just her and I, and just like making a point to celebrate like the accomplishment of a 5-month accelerator program, and took a proper weekend off and just relax. We both don't really drink that much. So it was like, to go and do that was definitely something, we celebrated that way, but we probably can get better at it.
Mm-hmm. And I like what you said, Jessica, about just like pausing and taking a moment. That's been a big one. It's like if we, after like a big successful day, it's kind of both Vanessa and I love to walk. So it's like going for a walk and not necessarily being like on your phone and just kind of enjoying the moment. And I think also for me, sharing it with the community, like when we get someone like Erin Ireland posting about us, or we have a special moment, like we love to share with our community. And I think that's like one of the most exciting things about how we celebrate.
Yeah, I love that. I love sharing the idea of sharing it with your community as well, because you're taking them along the journey, right? Like they're part of, the days where you have bad days and you're kind of sharing your struggles and then taking them on the journey of like whatever you're creating and then celebrating the wins with them. It's just such a well-rounded experience for your community.
Exactly.
All right, let's talk about the partnership between you guys. So what is, in your opinion, the key to creating a successful partnership with someone in business? How do you guys make sure that your partnership remains sound and you guys assign responsibilities properly and you guys take ownership of those? Like, what does that look like in your world?
Yeah, I think communication is like number one. Communication and respect. I think for both of us, that's probably the number one priority. Just making sure that if there is an issue, if there's any bad feelings towards something, that we, bring it up to the other person right away, and in a way that we respect the other person, because it's never about doing something, purposely to make the other person mad or making a mistake on purpose. It's obviously the common goal is that we want the best for the company and best for each other. So I think just being open and honest, and that line of communication always flowing, as well as always having respect for each other, is the number one things that you can do, and the most important to me for sure.
Yeah, communication's number one, absolutely. And just like V said, like we don't hold grudges. People make mistakes. Like, why would we ever go out of our way to make some like one of or each other feel bad about something? Like we're just learning every single day. So there's so much like space to just allow each other to learn and grow. And yeah, daily check-in. So I guess like when it comes to communication, what that looks like is we definitely do a weekly phone call. It's usually like about an hour, just doing a check-in, like what we have going on for this week. We of course are in constant communication throughout the days, but just to set aside time, be like, hey, this is what I'm working on. Like, do you have any suggestions of anything that I can do to make your line of work a little bit easier, or vice versa? Or it's like, is there any feedback you have for me in areas that I can grow? So I think we established that from the get-go, and that has been so big for us. And yeah, we take time to just be, like, as Vanessa said, going up to the Okanagan, like we take time to work on our friendship as much as we do our partnership. And yeah, our partnership is, it's very, very, we're very lucky to have each other. And as far as our roles go, we just really fell into each, like our roles. Like I said, I'm kind of more of the creative, and Vanessa's more operations and more of like that business mind. So we just naturally kind of picked up our own tasks. And then about a couple months into the business, we wrote them out. And then we're still reflecting like every quarter, I'd say, like going back and being like, okay, this is like a new word, we're getting more accounts. Who's going to own which accounts and what does that look like? So we're just always, again, like always evolving and growing and just leaving so much room, and just having like really big hearts for each other, I think has been key.
Yeah, absolutely.
For those that are stepping into that partnership zone and would like to know a little bit more about what the roles entail, when you say that Vanessa is in charge of the operations and Shara is in charge of the creative side, like what types of responsibilities does that include?
Yeah, so Shara does like most of our social media, content creation, email, marketing, a lot of like the photography. We have photographers as well, but for a lot of the social photography and whatnot, Shara takes that on. She just, the packaging, she designed the package, and, she's never done it before, but like I knew she had it in her. And it took a little bit, like, because again, it's kind of daunting. You take on this task and it could be so easy to outsource, which we tried to do at first, but it was never the vision that we had. And Shara just knew exactly, what Out of the Ordinary entailed. And she made that so just amazing on the packaging. She just conveyed that so well. And so just a lot of that Shara will do. And then of course we have like our accounts that we both service as well. And she does a lot of the initial reach. And then with my role, I'm more operations, the financials. We have a bookkeeper, but the day-to-day finances, invoicing, that's me, production, just looking at the raw materials, dealing with our suppliers and dealing with production runs. Yeah. And then of course with our accounts as well. And then some of the larger accounts, I have more experience with that. Like with my last previous startup that I was involved with, my stepmom, we got into Nordstrom across Canada and the US. So just having more, I guess, expertise in that, area, dealing with larger customers. And yeah, like Shara said, we've just kind of both fell into our roles naturally. And, if there are things that the other person needs help with, of course, we, always know that we can go to the other person and ask for help.
Gotcha. All right, let's talk about self-growth. So as you mentioned, which I am totally on side with, when you start a business and you're becoming an entrepreneur, there's a lot of self-growth that comes in line with that journey of creating that business. So I'd love to know, what areas did you find that you needed to grow in, and how did you go ahead or go about figuring out how to grow?
It's been, number one is like putting your ego aside. Even though we might not think that we have much of an ego, things can still come up. Like if I was hanging on to my ego so tight, I don't think I could have taken the feedback and looked to grow and improve, like had I not done that. So for me, it's just been really open about feedback and knowing that no one's giving me this feedback to hurt me. It's because we care for the business. It's because we want to grow. So that has been really, really important. And then also Vanessa and I are really, really good at making sure that we have time for ourselves, that we're taking days off or we're not working like a full day maybe, or I don't know if that really happens, to be honest, but we can take an afternoon to go for a walk, or we're really good at just touching base with each other where it's like, hey, I'm just having a tough day. I think I just need the afternoon. And then the other person is there to support. So it's all about just looking for the best intentions with everything and making sure that we're showing up for ourselves so that we can show up for the business.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Love that. Now, what does self-love mean to you both? And then what does your daily routines or self-care practices look like? Like, do you guys have any routines in place that kind of set you up for success every day so that you're able to show up as your best selves in your business and your life?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, I spend at least 5 to 10 minutes every morning kind of just sitting in the quiet and journaling, just because like I want to set myself up for a good day. I want to feel good. And sometimes if you don't necessarily have the best sleep, which happens a lot if you're an entrepreneur, you can wake up kind of like on the wrong side of the bed. So I just take a few moments in the morning to just say like, how do I want today to go? What are like 3 to 5 things that I need to do to make this day feel like a success? And then I go for a walk, and then I work out, get my body moving, and then I'll hunker in to do some work, and then usually end the day with a walk as well. So I'm just getting my movement in, I'm getting my mind right, and then I can fully show up. And that's pretty much my routine no matter where I am. I always make sure to get that walk and that body movement and that kind of going in internally for a few moments every day.
Yeah, then I think for me, definitely like making sure in the morning just to be still, to deep breathe, making sure like, breath is so important. And then trying to make an effort to do my walk every single morning. And now as the sun's rising, so to kind of like regulate your circadian rhythm as well. And then, movement as well has been a huge piece of the puzzle for me. And then just like with having health issues and whatnot, just really listening to my body, what's working, what's not, and what I'm being called to do. I've tried every single diet in the book when I was chronically ill, and I've gotten to a place where I've really am just so in tune with my body and not what other experts are saying. And so just showing up for my health every single day, because when you lose your health, you lose everything. And that was the biggest wake up call. So just making sure, like Sherry said, movement, deep breaths, stillness, and just setting us up for the day.
Amazing. Now let's talk about your oatmeal. What makes it different from other brands? So we know that it's gluten-free, we know it's vegan and organic, but what other components or ingredients in there that differentiate it?
So we add a plant-based protein. As I'm sure so many of you out there know, that protein really is essential for so many functions within the body. And being plant-based, I think a lot of people are kind of leaning towards plant-based or not, just making sure that you get enough protein. So we add a plant protein in there. We add, instead of doing a ton of sugar, so like throughout our studies when we were developing this product, we found that most people needed about 2 pouches of Quaker Oats to feel full within the morning. So now you're looking at upwards of like 26 to 30 grams of sugar to start your day. So that was one thing we wanted to be super cautious of. So our oats only have 3 grams of sugar. And a lot of that comes from the natural freeze-dried fruit. So like the sugars within the freeze-dried fruit. And then we add a little bit of organic coconut sugar. We add a little bit of Himalayan sea salt in there for hydration. We add some flax and chia. So you're getting lots of fiber, lots of healthy fats. And then we really try to go as much as possible to go like more of a natural route with flavors. So using cacao, using the freeze-dried berries, and then of course an organic gluten-free oat to top it off.
I love it. Now, with recipes, so I mean, for me with oatmeal, I just kind of like make oatmeal and then put stuff on top type thing, like maple syrup, but this is back in the day when I was eating oatmeal and it's not relatively good, or like brown sugar or bananas or something. So I'd love to know from you guys, as being the founders of this company, do you have any recipes that you would suggest that have been super popular that we can try with your oatmeal that aren't the typical ones? Like you suggested, with the blueberry cinnamon, do the overnight oats, add some Greek yogurt, which I would have never thought of.
Yeah. Yeah, on the blueberry, some yogurt's really, really good. One of my favorites right now is we've been doing a raspberry cheesecake oat. So what that looks like is getting the raspberry flavor of ours and then adding a little bit of lemon juice and just a pinch of apple cider vinegar. So what this does is it adds even more benefits. You're getting more healthy bacteria within your stomach. It helps with digestion. It helps with creating more of an alkaline environment within your stomach and in your gut. So that gives it the tart kind of taste that you would get from a cheesecake. And then having like a little scoop of some, we love Yogu. Yogu is another woman-owned local business. So it's a coconut yogurt. It's vegan. So adding a little bit of that on top with some fresh raspberries or fresh strawberries. And I actually did a live cooking episode on like how to make this with True Nosh. And that's another women-owned operated business out of Vancouver. And I think you can go over to her Facebook page and watch it. But I just go through the whole process of making this recipe. So you get to watch it live, which is pretty cool. But we've done energy balls with the cacao coconut flavor, with the blueberry flavor. We've had people make muffins with it. So you can really go all out with it. And you can have it instantly, of course, by just adding hot water, which is what a lot of our customers do if they're on the go. We also have some cafes selling it right now, which is super cool. So when you're out getting a coffee, you can get like a steamed oat milk or steamed coconut milk, and then you can buy the oats right at the cafe, put those in the coffee cup, and then you can sit on their beautiful little patios and enjoy your oats and your latte. And then, of course, overnight style, like as you mentioned, Jessica, is just having your favorite milk or plant-based milk and letting it soak overnight. And that actually also helps with digestibility of the oats. And it brings out the flavor a lot too. So you can get extremely creative with oats. We're working on a recipe right now of adding it to smoothies. So you can kind of elevate your smoothie. So we're going to be coming out with some recipes on that one as well.
Holy smokes. I would have never thought of all of those types of things and putting it in your smoothie or using them in your baking. And wow. Okay. I'm definitely going to keep my eye out for that. And I will be trying the overnight oats this weekend for sure.
Nice.
All right. So let's talk about what's on the horizon for Oat of the Ordinary. Do you have anything coming up that you can share or give little teasers about?
I think just going like really aggressive with retail and, having our products being listed in more of the stores in BC, in the Vancouver area, your favorite stores. That's just been our biggest priority for March, April, and moving forward. And I think continuing to just evaluate the flavors and looking, maybe the next few months to bring out another flavor and, always listening to our community to see what they want, to see what they like, what they don't like. And, that's kind of all I can say right now. I don't know, Shara, what else is on the horizon?
Yeah, we're definitely looking at coming out with like maybe another flavor later this year. Our business coach is amazing and always has us making sure that we're crawling, walking, and then running. So we didn't want to go and bite off more than we could chew with, doing so many new flavors, especially because we do use such natural ingredients that we're not just like grabbing an artificial flavor, throwing it in and calling it like a cupcake flavor, like we're very methodical about how we think about what's going into our oats. So yeah, that could be potentially down the run, but we are just looking to become more accessible. So we do have an ask of your community. If anybody has like a local cafe or shop that you want to see our oats in, please let us know. We answer every single DM. We reply to every single comment. So just hit us up on our Instagram or our website or email and just let us know where you would like to see us.
Awesome.
I was going to say, and also like if you are in like your favorite grocery store or a little independent natural health store, you can drop our company name, ask to see us there. That just goes such a long way and it would be like just such a big help for us.
Yeah, it's always helpful when they're reaching out to you, right? That definitely helps. All right. So if anybody wants to learn more about you, where can they connect with you? Where do you hang out the most?
We're on Instagram a lot at Oat of the Ordinary. Our website is at just oatoftheordinary.com and our Facebook page as well. But I'd say Instagram is our number one place.
Well, thank you so much, Shara and Vanessa, for taking the time to share your journey and advice for creating a product-based business and creating a successful business partnership, which is not something that's often seen in this world, but for also creating an oatmeal that doesn't bug my stomach anymore. I'm so excited to be reunited with this breakfast food again and highly recommend it to everyone to give it a try.
Thank you so much, Jessica.
Yeah, thank you. And that makes us so happy that it doesn't bother you. And we just pride ourselves on the fact that we've created something that's tasty, clean, and convenient. So the fact that it really works for you, it makes us so happy.
I'm Jessica, and thanks for tuning in today to Love Unplugged, the podcast. If there are any questions or topics you'd love answered on the show, head on over to www.projectloveco.com and share your request with me. If you haven't yet, go to iTunes and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast and share it with a loved one. Your feedback means the world to me, and the community we've created is what fuels our discussions here. After all, this is all for you. Join me next time for another unplugged conversation.